Um, yep. As always, not in the highest performing, state, but here's what I see and here's what I know. Blanket. I thought about that bananas do have an appeal to be fruits to be eaten, since they come with a natural wrap, that you can like eat and throw away, instead of like when you eat an apple, juices just squirt around. It's quite annoying, and your hand gets sticky and everything gets sticky, and this kind of sucks. So wait, give me a second here. Not just this, also about blah 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 customer states, that a lot of people demanding information technology support are in general not willing to pay for like the lowest denominator, delivering quality of service, I suppose, while they prefer to pay money to billion-dollar companies. And I wonder if this divergence is only in the information technology sector or in general. By the way, while I'm recording this, I'm listening to the Black Dog album from 1994 from Warp Records, because why not? Number one. And number two is like like I said before, I do enjoy the label and the labels of fruits that it offered in the past and in the present, I suppose. It's quite nice that I can listen to music while I talk my trash. And what else want I say? That a person not paying enough, which gives you food for thought on one hand, and on the other hand, get stuffed by Microsoft. Then there is the aspect of smartphone staging that I did yesterday, which was quite interesting to see in itself. I needed like a tablet, and I needed like what was it? I needed like a tablet, my smartphone, father, parent smartphone, child smartphone, and mother smartphone, and I had to hoop back and forth and jump front and back, and the constant power management, energy savings on every device, like turning off every 5 seconds, while I needed the credentials, while I needed to type in the passwords, while I was like always sleep deprived, while I was having a conversation, while the children of the family like, hey, while eating and also drinking, which was a little much in hindsight to say, a little bit much input, and not just that, but also, I wanted to say about certain objects, about certain perspective in regards to objects and how to use them, and what I need to expect from these objects when using them, because context matters. And I suppose if I'm missing the context for something, I cannot use the tool properly, but only when I get like a little bit more information about the subject, I can do like more sort of complicated decisions that will form the final result. It's literally like a block of clay, and only by sort of studying techniques, let's put it like with these print terms, you're order to you're able to evaluate something more complex out of that, which is in itself helpful to a certain degree. But I heard that many people are stuck there, you know. Me, personally, I don't have this problem. More problem is that sort of stuff comes and happens in between all the time, you know. The moment I got like one teeny tiny toe in the water, in the pool, foot, you know, 20 different things happen. I still need to make that eBay auction thing. Not eBay, but eBay, electronical bay, you know. And also the other thing that is quite important is like setting up like this triple boot with macOS, Windows and Linux, which is in itself quite funny and interesting, you know, especially for me. And then if we further it down, from there on out, I can jump between 3 devices, in itself quite cool. But then we have the part with the live streaming and the setup and the routing, and especially not just routing, you know. Video is like one thing, I don't know, but also audio, with audio drivers and Windows being legacy and old and shit, and use a kernel level driver protection mode, you know, just hush hush, and finding out where I have to, saw and nitpick and like pick up a hole, you know, like literally drilling a hole, software sided so to say, you know, for a peak hole for some audio to leak through, like some sort of liquid good audio, you know. And the fact that both OSs have their own retardation level, and no one dares to break the boundaries in some regards. It amazes me, you know. And the age-old question and answer, why you would prefer a certain operating system for certain multimedia aspects, is also quite interesting. And dare I say, quite ironically speaking, even though I kind of mentioned that you should not get adrift and lost in a big tool set, you know, you should like implement and apply what you've learned immediately, otherwise it's lost. I mean, yeah, that's true, right? But my argument here is that you need a solid foundation in order to progress and continue. And dare I say it, I don't think I am that far in regards to this aspect, you know. And we're talking like, I don't know, what is it? Mainly setting up stuff. And especially because I think I'm missing layer 1 aspects. Maybe reading more data sheets, summarizing it all. But I think we're heading to a good direction in general about this. What's need to be said is a little bit more shut-eye would do wonders on me, since I'm feeling like a fucking drunk and schizoid who's, sorry, I feel like a person who is incapacitated for quite a while now, and quite heavily, under the influence, not thinking straightly, yeah. I'm happy to report that I'm able to make like simple additions, calculus stuff, you know, multiplication, division. But if I read about all these math concepts and how math applies to information technology, you know, it's like one thing if you have the theory, you know, You're packing all the shit via abstraction layers into these boxes. So, please do tell me how you get from your formula to the code. I know there are steps between pseudocode, but I'm very good at making shit up. I've come to terms with that. That is, I suppose, it's a good personality trait, so to say. But everything else, it's quite wobbly. Yeah. And also in regards to yesterday, I was having a chat with a good old friend of mine, and I sort of told him like the reflection. You know, you have a thought, and this thought needs to be evaluated. You know, and this is the meta-analysis. And the meta-analysis needs also to be evaluated, and only by that kind of quality measure standard you have something to learn. And I was talking with this friend about how I think about the thought about the thought about the thought, you know, and we're talking like infinite loop back, like, because from a philosophical standpoint you have infinite material to talk about, you know. What if this applies, and how is this built and constructed, and in which way is this like intertwined, you know. But on a different side note, when you say I need a final result, it is quite probable that this solution is quite right, you know. That's why 1 + 1 is such a perfect example. I'm 99% sure, yeah. I should be 100% sure, but when you see like possibilities and variations and knowledge factors depending on where you live, which doesn't make 1 + 1 = 3, right? But you get the idea, you know. Sometimes there's a knowledge approximation, so to say, you know, and you gotta be happy that you reach 78%, you know, instead of 77 or maybe less, you know? And you gotta take it and progress, because everything else slows you down. And guess what I'm doing? I'm trying to hit like that sweet 90, 95, 98% maybe percentile range scope, but I do fail miserably on a regular basis at time. But I do think it's possible to live with all these faults and issues and act like nothing happened. But deep down in my mind, you know, when I lay my head to rest, these thoughts pop up, like reconfirmation, verification, MD5 checksums. No, just kidding. But you get the idea. And I suppose I told you about my plans. Yeah, I need to get to the pharmacy today, but also do like the laptop staging thing, the eBay thing, the music sorting thing, teaching, but also what is the other thing? In general, all the steps we need to make, but also get like 10, 12, 14 hours of sleep, man, in order to function at a bare minimum level again. So I hope this helps you clarify and understand the situation. Bye bye.